Like, you can't be shouting in the middle of the stairwell when you're not safe, bro.
Right. But they don't know that that's what's happening. So they're just like, they're acting like you would, where you're like, what? I don't know. Is he dead? Like, that's how you would be, because you don't think that, like, a supernatural thing is happening. Right. That's not what you think.
Hi, I'm Kat.
And I'm Gabe.
And we're
the Ghouls Next Door.
Ghouls Next Door.
Talking about spooky stuff. This spooky season.
Yeah.
It continues. It keeps continuing.
Time of all.
Yeah, season 9 of the Ghouls.
In a fun haha and a ow way. So it's a fun mix of both.
Right, always. Yeah, we're the Ghouls Next Door media literacy show from a horror lens, where we explore the real life, historical, psychological, viral influences behind our cinematic fears. And closing out October and closing out our When the Dead Don't Die series, we are talking about Wreck, the film. But has been the case for our Dead Don't Die series, where we're trying to bring in some friends and chat about these films and just have fun. We have a great return guest. We've had this guest on quite a few times for fun when we were just playing games. We've had them on for more in-depth content. So talking about some really interesting stuff, even stuff outside of our usual genre. So, welcome our wonderful guest, Wi-Moto Nyoka from Dusky Projects.
Hi. Hello, great to be here.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to have you. Because we all talk over each other.
It's always great to be here. I love talking to you guys, and I love your podcast and your outlooks, just the work that you're doing to stand firm in media literacy. Which I think was always tantamount and is just going to be integral in the days to come.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been saying, like, as the world continues to be on fire and things are kind of getting a little dicey out there for our freedom of speech, our freedoms, period. But also just like media literacy, regular literacy, just understanding the impact that media has is scarily scarce. And so
like misinformation, AI being integrated.
I think of like specifically found footage horror, like our listeners, fans know that is my favorite subgenre of horror, right? I just really love like suspending disbelief and just hopping right into this narrative. Like, you tell me there's a reason for this camera to be there, I believe you. Like, I'll turn off any reasons, right? And I will be like, okay, we're here. This is happening. This is real, like, thing that we're capturing. And I think it's, it's something that feels really authentic. It's very raw. It's really stripped down. And you have to like give us a good reason for why the camera's there. You have to give us a good reason why we're here and why characters make these decisions. And so it's just a different approach. I feel like found footage horror, like in its simplicity, like really breaking it down to the like bare minimum of like understanding what the horror is just so creative, is so fun. And that's why we picked Wreck. I was like, I just remember like Wreck being one of those films that like I watched with a group of people, in the dark, like with friends. Right. And you're just like, screaming, hugging each other, holding on tight. And the same with Quarantine, which was like the American version. And it was one that I remember being like, oh, well, this one actually didn't like, it's so often that like when an American production company redoes a foreign horror film, it's like awful. It's like, what are you doing? Because they like change the production value, but they also just change like the themes, and like our culture definitely like influences, or like our lack of culture sometimes influences the motivations for it. But I feel like Quarantine did a decent job. But Wreck is just so fun.
Yeah, Quarantine still actively haunts. Like, I didn't rewatch it for this, but when I was younger, I remember watching that and it like messing me up. Like, I was scared of Quarantine. And then like inversely, like Rec, it's just like the found footage really was effective, I think, especially like when you first see it and you don't know that that's like what you're getting into, because it feels like you shouldn't be watching it. Like it feels like you're not allowed, like you've uncovered something that is a secret and you shouldn't be watching it because it's so horrifying. And yeah, Quarantine messed me up. I remember when I first saw it, I was a teenager and I just like did not sleep for like a week because I was like, it's gonna happen.
I do feel like Quarantine as a title makes a lot more sense. I get Rec being like it's recording and it's found footage. But other than that, like this film actually is like saying something else.
It's very much about quarantine.
It's about being quarantined. Yeah. It also has this weird religious undertone. I noted like, so all right, before we hop in, let me tell folks what Rec is about. So Rec is an oldie but a goodie. It's from 2007. It feels like a bajillion years ago.
Oh
it's
my
almost
God, it's
20
from
years ago. Yeah. Almost 20 years ago. That's so crazy. So it is about a television reporter and cameraman follow emergency workers into a dark apartment building and are quickly locked inside with something terrifying. It's directed by Jaime Balaguerro and Paco Plaza, it says. That's good. And one thing I know right out the gate is she introduces herself. Her name is Angela Vidal, which means her name is Angel Devil. Okay, first of all, her name is Angel Devil. From the rip, yeah. Vidal is just an anagram of devil. That's and then her name is Angela. So I was just like, okay, what are we doing here? I was like, that seems silly. But then it comes back in the end. You're like that. But
no, it's nice.
Essentially, she's like, she's this reporter. She seems pretty green. She's doing like the overnight, like, let's see into the world of these, these while occupations. Sleeping, while you're sleeping is her show. It definitely gives like early morning, small town show. Like I've definitely seen those. I work at a television station. Like I've had my fair share of those.
Right. She's like an aspiring anchor woman. Like you're getting her at the ground level where she's like, I'm about to embark on my career and I'm trying to be a real journalist, but right now I'm doing this show.
And she's just hanging out with Pablo, like her camera person, and she's following emergency workers, specifically firefighters, and the whole time she definitely has that like I guess like it feels like early time influencer where she's really upset that nothing is happening, and so she's like, I don't want anything bad to happen, but I do really wish the alarm would go off
because this could be my big break. Where
right, because the eyeballs, because it's like the beginning. It's interesting to think about that because it's the beginning of the attention economy. Like now we're so far into that. We understand that like attention is currency, and we get why you would want something to happen because that's the thing that's going to be reshared and reshared and reshared, and usually that's something macabre rather than something positive. We all understand that math now, but then
2007 was really
I mean, if it bleeds, it leads is still a journalism go-to, and I think she's really following that. But yeah, because she's new, because it's this, I will say like there's an ongoing thread. So as she gets her wish and there is an alarm and she does get to go. And, what I found really interesting is she goes to this apartment building and these people have been kind of brought downstairs and something is happening. Somebody is unwell, but it's more than that because it's like, why is everyone down here? Because if this old woman is sick, and she started
like the whole
screaming.
Apartment building wouldn't be downstairs. Right. I mean, it depends like how close neighbors are, but it is weird that they've made everyone come downstairs.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like there's two situations happening, and what I love about like found footage is like we're having to learn alongside these characters. Like no one seems to know more than us, but she constantly like every time she's met with them trying to silence her, she's always like, no, we're recording this. Keep recording. You have to record this. What I'm thinking about like even now, like almost 20 years later, like it's such a heavy importance of recording, what recording has on telling the story, that even though she's following these heroes, these emergency workers, that she is mistrusting of every single one of them and is like, no, something is going on. I have to be the eyes of the public and get that information to them, even if I'm like putting my life actively in harm's way.
Yeah. And like thinking of like censorship too, like being aware that like she needs to get the truth because it could be covered up later, and then that way there's video evidence of everything that went on.
You know, and it's very much still in the idea that journalism is about telling the truth, no matter what, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter, you know, and so that you leave those cameras rolling, and it's still very much of the ilk of journalism as far back as 60s and 70s, where it's like, no, we're going to give you the pictures of what's really going on in Vietnam. We're going to give you this footage of what's happening in the civil rights movement, like with them unleashing these hoses and dogs on people. We're going to show it, and we're going to put it on the cover of Time, like photojournalists as well, who were like in there getting the shot, like, which was already like ethically questionable. Like you're not helping this person, you're photographing them dying, you know, like I was thinking, and this is kind of a strange, or maybe it isn't, that film that came out recently that won an Emmy on Paramount that was about the first terrorist attack that was ever televised. Didn't know if you saw that one. And I forget the name of it now because I'm forgetting the name of all these things I'm watching, but it's on Paramount, and it was a film that they made, and they got like a bunch of awards for it. So it's like it is around an actual event in the Olympics when this one team was taken, the Olympic space in Germany was taken over by the Olympians were held hostage by these.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
By, you know, a rogue troop they had their politics that they were trying to get across. And this is the first time that such an event was televised. And you're seeing it from the perspective of the newsroom that's closest to it.
Interesting, yeah.
And the choices that they're making or not making, or at the very least arguing about, in terms of filming this hostage situation and telling the truth about what happened, but also like filming it. Like, how do we get in?
Yeah.
And then like, what are the ethics around? Like, there were just so many moments in the film where they had to stop and be like, okay, but if we keep doing this and they shoot someone, are we televising that?
Right.
And they would actually and they're talking about it, you know, and they weren't the news that was supposed to be covering this. Like they're in the office closest, and they're supposed to just like, they're like, oh, we just do like sports roundups or something. Like they weren't even like, there weren't even the channel for that. And so then there was also like a back and forth about that. Like, no, we're reporting it. No, CBS or whatever, the new ABC or something like that. Like, you're not the one who's going to come over. You're not even here. We're 100 yards from the thing. And I just thought that was interesting because it's like the advent of this, like, what are our ethics? What are our rules around this? When does this start to get like we're contributing to this violence? We're not helping stop it. Right. And so like, this also kind of, even though this is not about anything real, like everything that we're talking about is like us still sort of wrestling with these ideas of like, but when are you like part of the problem? When is it the truth? And like all the way up into now where you can't even trust. Like there are different news channels giving different news based on different facts. They've decided to do away with facts. Yeah. So even the idea of like journalism being a thing, even the idea of the truth is now contested. Right. Whereas at the very least in this film and in these like earlier found footage, the idea is that like this one person doing this thing is in fact telling the truth. We can all at least agree on that, which is like a thing that we can no longer agree on anymore.
Right. Like there's no Hippocratic oath of like journalism where you are obligated to tell the truth in both sides and whatever. And you know, you're seeing like the same story, two different headlines, right? Where things are skewed.
Yeah,
things
spun in a different way.
Right.
Yeah.
And or just like flat out like lies, and it's like, it's fine, there's your alternative facts. I'm lying to you and it's okay because it makes you feel good is where we're at. But it's kind of nice to return to your point of like, this just feels good. And it's like, because it's living in a world where at the very least the reason that she's putting herself in harm's way is because she's going to tell you the truth. Like that's the idea. The conceit of it is that I'm showing you what really happened. Yeah. And I'm committed to that.
Yeah. It has me thinking of like, you know, Geraldo Rivera, you know, going to the, you know, mental institutions and highlighting the cruelty that was happening in America at that time, and showing like the inhumane treatment of people who were differently abled, who were suffering from different mental illness, and seeing like them just being like neglected, actively harmed. And he like went in there, and like that was huge. That was such a big deal. But it is a big question, because it's like, okay, one, they're being harmed, they're being, you know, taken advantage of, they're being neglected, all of these things, which is all very true. And then he's coming in there with a camera and like recording them,
profiting
as
off
proof,
of their exploitation,
right? And then he profited off, and he became Geraldo Rivera, and he had a whole show where he was like victimizing people, and like, you know, continued to be this problem, like talk show host, right? But it's like at that time, I feel like, and Angela had that same motivation of like, oh, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to reveal the truth, and I'm doing the most good. But it comes at the expense of like, we're seeing people die on camera, right? Like we're like,
and it's also on a razor thin thing. Like, you're doing the most good, but you're also like, you want to be famous,
right?
Like, she's starting a career. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a bit of personal, there's a whole lot of personal gain. There's ego in that, in the like, I'm going to be the one that's going to, and we're like, yeah, right. Okay. Like, we're a little bit like, but we also want her to go, because it's like, well, I'm not going.
I want to know what's happening. Go upstairs.
We need to know.
You know, like, I get them
switch
being
your hair part angle as you do it.
Right. And then being so like aggravated with her and Pablo, and being like, you know, getting them out.
They were pissed.
And like, they still were pushing. And I think like at some point it was like, you know, the initial like impetus of it was like to get the story and to get into it. But at some point, I really do think they came across this threshold of like, they have to do it. Like, because they were really in danger. Like, it was part of it was like them trying to survive, but she was actively putting herself and him in harm's way. And like, she was incredibly annoying. There's so much. Shut up. Stop screaming. I need you to be quiet for a second, babe. Like, you're being so loud, and there's like, we don't.
But isn't that just like sidebar? Maybe not sidebar. Isn't that how found footage works? Like, the person who's holding it is typically a little bit annoying. Because and like I give them grace. Like I expect them to be a certain personality type. And I expect that personality type to be annoying, because that's why you have the camera on all the time.
Yeah.
You're the person who sticks your phone or your camera, whatever era we're in, you're sticking the recording device in people's faces and like documenting the event instead of being present for the event. You are inherently annoying.
Right. Yeah. And there's just like instances. Yes. There's like, and again, it really does put you in a moment. It feels very realistic, because you're like, you know, that people aren't thinking like, we need to be quiet. They are just reacting in the world.
I was like texting Gabe. I was like, they're so bad at zombies. They're being so loud. Like, they're gonna hear you. Like, you can't be shouting in the middle of the stairwell when you're not safe, bro.
Right. But they don't know that that's what's happening. So they're just like, they're acting like you would, where you're like, what? Like, that's how you would be, because you don't think that like a supernatural thing is happening.
Right.
That's not what you think.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And there's like a point where like Pablo's like climbed up on a thing, and he's trying to record, and she just like is constant, just like next to him, like, what's happening? What is going on? Tell me what's going on. And I'm like, just take a second. Like, first of all, you can watch this footage back. You know, like I'm recording this, and you can watch it after I'm done. I do not need to narrate it to you. I'm also gotta be quiet. We are literally sneaking.
We're being stealth.
And like, props and kudos all to the patience of Pablo, because he really like did not need to be chilling.
At no point was he even like slightly mean to her, even as he's like actively being attacked or like almost dying. Like, he's just constantly like, it's cool.
And we're like, doing it. We're friends. And they really built a relationship too.
There's an equal commitment there, though. Like, whenever you see these things where it's like, it's me, and then you're my camera person, they're like ride or die for me.
Right.
And the camera person also has the same sort of ego, even though they're not in front of the camera. I'm like, but you're complicit. And you using this, you're holding this is your weapon. Like, I don't care what anybody says, that's your weapon. And you see that conceit again and again and again in other franchises, like Scream, right? There was that as well. Like we know this archetype of like, she's always kind of annoying and it kind of self-serving, and she's got a camera person that's ride or die and never really challenges that. And, you know, it's honestly enabling.
Yeah, where it's like, maybe we don't go in the room with the lady. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in it to win it. And it's like, it's the conceit of found footage. Like, I'm just like, you see that again in Cloverfield. Like, it's like everybody, there's always the guy who's holding the camera no matter what. And you're like, you're crossing between, I remember
if they were too compelling, like, it'd be unbelievable. They have to.
Yeah, like I remember in that one, there was one scene where like the person holding the camera is crossing between two buildings and they're filming it. And I'm like, you know, you could just put this down and give it to someone else.
Right.
But it's like, no, I have to film myself like walking across two buildings that are skyscrapers that are falling all over each other during this alien invasion.
Yeah.
But like, we want it. Because I'm like, you're like, it's okay. I want to do it. Like it's an interesting tension in found footage where it's like, but I also want to see it.
Yeah, you're annoying, but I need you to do that still. Thank you.
But I need you to be annoying in the right way. Like, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to be in the moment. I'm going to try to like help people. I will not pick up the camera.
Right.
But I want this to be documented.
Yeah.
I want it to be documented. And like, I want somebody to do that. And now with where we are, it's like the camera very much is a weapon. We do in fact have rules of like, when you see this is how you document it. This is what you say. And we are kind of getting back, I would say, like back to like boots on the ground journalism. I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Space.
Yes.
We're doing that.
Like the revolution will be televised.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to we're getting back to, and the thing is, it's like, it's being televised, but it's being televised by like independent, like the small time people who don't have specific allegiances to networks and to because those things aren't trustworthy, right? Like those things clearly are bought and are manipulated. Like we've had many of like, you know, whistleblowers coming forward and showing like all across the country people getting the same copy, you know, because they're in one like you know a media company that is really just one it's one company disguising itself as several.
Yeah, they're all owned by the
BlackRock. You know, it's always something, you know? And so I think like the fact that they are the smaller time, like we got that like genuine approach to it. They felt really real in that way. And they felt trustworthy to each other. There's definitely a connection. Like they've been doing this for a while.
Right. Yeah. Right. You still have all these markers, right? Like she was an affiliate. She wasn't big time. And you wouldn't have believed it if she was.
Yeah.
So we still are like, no, it has to be unaffiliated. And it does feel like it's a record that was covered up. Like, isn't that's sort of like the conceit? Because I kind of bleed Rec 1 and Rec 2 together because Rec 2 starts like right out. I love the sequel in this way because it starts right where the first one ended. Like it's like 5 minutes later this. And I was like, yes, we're back in it. And I just thought that was really great. But like the idea is that it was covered up, right? Like you're looking at the official record that like no one else can.
Yeah, they covered it up.
Right?
Yeah. And it's like, I love the fact that we had one camera, right? But it never felt like it felt real, and we also got story, right? Like sometimes we can really fail when we're stuck with one type or we're not switching to like surveillance, you know, but it felt natural, like the progression and how we're learning things and we're meeting these characters, and it starts so slow, even with the different like bites, like figuring out what they're doing. Like I really appreciate in like the fact that it's a slow kind of burn zombie film where people are like not quick to understand how it's being passed. Like the fact that they're literally in quarantine and they're like, you need to stay, like you need to protect yourself. You need to be careful, that they don't put like 2 and 2 together that like this person is like getting up. And I think that's really exciting. Like I think every time they come back to that apartment of that older woman and they come back and they're like, where did she go? Like what she just, I punched her in the face a bunch of times. She should be dead. And I was like, okay, I shot her a bunch of times this time, and there's still
It's super interesting that, like, yeah, I felt more believable because I feel like people would not, like, they'd be like, that's in the movies, and, like, wouldn't think that, like, it's that, you know? And yeah, the fact that kept getting up. I also, like, really appreciated the one actress as, like, this little kid who, like, at one point, spoilers, but we find out is infected and like one of the root causes of the illness along with her dog, but she's looking at this camera woman while she's being interviewed like she wants to eat her face, and that's like a little kid. So the fact that like she conveyed that level of like something is not right with this child, kudos to whoever that actor was. Like 10 minutes later she's biting her mom's face, you know. So it's just like, it was a really nice foreshadowing that was pretty cool and also made it pretty believable.
Her name is
it's
Claudia.
Interesting. It's unique in that, you know, you keep saying zombies, but it was supposed to be demonic as well. Like it's one of the few things where I'm like, is it a zombie movie or is it a possession film? Because it ends with that being what it is. Like, this is true evil. But I think that makes it a unique series in that it is about zombies, but also is a possession movie, and it sits between those two spaces. Like, it's not zombie rules per se, because it's not a virus. But they do come back, you know what I mean? But it's like, but it has a zombie feel. Like, you wouldn't be wrong by being like, it's a zombie. It's not a zombie movie, but like, really, you probably need a priest more than you need to double tap.
And it's also like, I appreciated, like, you know, in the end of Rec 1, when we're seeing the room and it's full of like this, like, it's the fun part of horror movies where we do the investigation and we try to figure out what is happening. You know, why is this the way it is? And it's always like, I always just get really excited to see how people portray that. And this is like a room. It's like the, like, you know, crazy investigation room with the red string kind of thing. You know, it's like Charlie from Always Sunny, like, you know, but it's all the articles about this woman, and then it's mixed in with all of this religious paraphernalia, right? And then you have journalist Angel Devil in there, like, walking around trying to and being hysterical. There were parts of this film that genuinely felt to me like a video game, and that was really exciting, because it's like, okay, we're hiding, like, we're running from the monster, and that's always like the background thing that we're trying to do. The main motivation is we're trying to figure out what's going on, right? We're trying to keep ourselves safe, and we're trying to get out. But it's like, okay, we're in this room, and it's like, okay, well, we have to get to this room, and then we have to talk to that person, then we have to go get the keys, but we have to figure out where the keys are. And then you're in there and you're like push and play on the recorder. You're like, reading the files, and you're like putting it together. It was giving like Silent Hill.
You left the keys in another room. Like, you have to go back.
But you need the key to get to this, and you need that to get to this. And then like, you're like, the monster at the end of the first one is also like, it's giving Barbarian, like the lady in the basement. I was like, oh man, people love a creepy lady that's like, grew up weird. And it also was making me think of, what is it, like the Exorcism of Deborah Logan, I think it is.
Oh my God.
That has that scene of like where it pivots over and she's like full mouth unhinged, just swallowing the person. Like, that's one of the coolest like scenes I've ever seen in my life in horror. And so when I saw her, like our monster of Wreck, I was like, oh, this is like somebody, whoever made that film, Deborah Logan, saw this and was like, oh, I want to do something with her. I'm gonna make her do something
like that. And you see that repeated again, you know, in Weapons, most to like tie it into most, like that same shot of being in the dark in a creepy space and then discovering like a haggard, somehow otherworldly, not quite human woman. Who's gonna like, all she needs is for you to get into her vicinity.
Just come on closer.
Like, that's it, right?
And, take her for granted, right?
Like that's all she needs you to do is like, in this way, it's sort of like spider logic, where it's like she needs you to get in the web, and she needs to feel you, and then she can like that and wrap you up, and it's fine. And I feel like that's a very deep, like that harkens back to like Grimm's fairy tales of
it's
like
about
Hansel and
Yaga,
Gretel.
you know?
Yeah, like this is the like like the evil crone.
Yeah,
like that, where she's going to like seduce you into a thing and then eat you.
Yeah,
like
she's a Larkin, you know, she's the monster.
Yeah,
and it's like you're, and it's so unexpected. I also like, you know, Wi-Moto, to appreciate you mentioning like the motivations of this zombie. What I really love, like, is that zombies can have so many different like things, like or origins, right? Even just like historically, like real zombies, right? Like reanimating the dead, or bringing people back has had its own different motivations and like, you know, religious aspects to them. And, you know, it teases this idea of a, similar to most of the like zombie horror that we've gotten before, this idea of like an illness that's like spread, like rabies, because that's what they think at first.
That's
like,
what quarantine is too, is it leans more into the rabies specific idea.
Yeah, because like I will say, like, specifically when I, you know, mentioning like the difference between like cultures and the fact that like America has a lack of culture. Wreck is a Spanish film, and so Catholicism and fear and like religion is a heavy part of that culture, and so to intertwine that feels way more faithful to, pun intended, to this culture versus like America, where we have like Christianity and it's not it's not Catholicism, it's not this, right? And so it feels a little stunted in a different way, whereas this feels really authentic. It's like I would believe if I went to Spain and I went to some random, you know, top floor of an apartment building that would be filled
and it was
with
covered in all this stuff,
like like, you know, the Virgin Mary everywhere, like absolutely, like any like Latin American country too
in the society, right? Like if we're gonna have, like, here we have a separation of the genres here, where it's like, if it's gonna be a zombie film, it's a zombie film. If it's gonna be a possession movie, it's a possession movie. And it's like The Conjuring and The Walking Dead can't intersect,
right? Which is just not true.
Which is kind of what happened in Wreck, where it's like, oh, you guys kind of did this thing.
We put the two together. Yeah,
you kind of did like 28 Days Later and the possession film like this. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I don't think you can get away with that here, because those two things don't go together.
Mesh.
Right. And it's like, you know, they have like these different motivations. Like when we're thinking 28 Days Later, 20 years later, we're even thinking of All of Us Are Dead. That's a rage virus, right? It's motivated by emotion. Yeah. It's less like just a sickness that's like ambiguous, and it's very specific to what it is like triggering. When we get to the structure of viruses and how they're spreading, right? That's also a whole different layer that's explored in different zombie worlds, right? Sometimes it's airborne and everyone got it. Sometimes it's like, and then if you're you know, immune, you're immune. If you're not, you're not. And then there's the biting that happens, where it's like that's how it's transferring. You're thinking like clickers from Last of Us, like that's a whole even different, like that's not airborne, that was through the grain, that was spores, and that's like that's a different transformation and a different motivation.
And bites also do it,
but it's still a zombie. Like it's still like, to me, goes into that subgenre of like zombie. It's just like, what is so exciting is that people can get creative about what does this zombie mean, because zombies like itself have always, like when we're media literacying it, right? When we're studying it, have different like meanings. Like we talked about in Zom 100, which is like an animated series, live action and manga, but it's like they talk about how like we were already zombies before the zombies came, right? We were zombies to our phone, we were zombies in our job, right? Where, you know, you talk about like Night of the Living Dead, or what is it, the Day of the Dead, all of those ones where it's like it's consumerism, it's individuality, it's racism.
Dawn of the Dead,
Dawn of the Dead, like those kinds of, like it's always, you know, a fear that strips it down to that. It's typically
something, the zombie is really just a blank slate, right? Like The Walking Dead is kind of this long critique on capitalism, or at least was last time before. I don't know what happened to it. Like, I stopped watching a long time ago, but like in the beginning, it was this Western. It was a critique on capitalism, the fall of capitalism. And then, you know, you have like, you had mentioned the Zombie 100 night. For some reason, I thought about when you said that one, I thought about Peninsula, and then I thought about like some of the animated versions, continuations of Train to Busan that I've seen, right? Like that world has continued. So you have Train to Busan, and then you have Peninsula. Peninsula, I think, is a really interesting sequel to a zombie, like what they're tackling there. Like, and that's another thing where the island is, Korea is quarantined, and like, what is life on this thing, and what is life off of it? Like, I really loved the political conversation that they were having. That's really what that film is actually about. Then I'm like, y'all didn't even have to tackle all this. You could have just been like, and now we got to go back to where the Busan is, and there's a bunch of zombies. But instead, we got into this whole like being a migrant worker and being displaced and not having a nationality, and then having to like all this stuff where I was like, y'all didn't even need to do all this. This is great. So that zombie is always a stand-in for something else. And then there's also the stuff where it's like, it's just a bunch of like kill shots. Like, that's all that we're doing. Although I feel like those zombie films, I never really remember them because they're not rooted in something. I'm trying to tell you something about whatever, like whatever it is that I'm doing. I was thinking of, what is it, like Zombie and Cigarettes, I think is one, this French one. I forget if that's what it's called. Zombies and Cigarettes.
That's hilarious.
Cigarettes is in the title. Cigarettes is in the title, and it's a French film, and it's another one that's like this, where it takes place in one building. But it's like the projects, like it's the hood.
I love that.
And you're really just watching a bunch of gangsters who went in there to go do some crime.
It's like Attack the Block, but with zombies in France.
Yeah, but like grown, so like
not as cute, and
and so I think it's commenting a bit on obviously racism and class. But I wonder, like, where does Rec fall in this? Because I don't really get the sense that we're just kind of in like a regular, like, they just seem sort of middle class, like, so.
But I do think
oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I think the fact that they were following their emergency workers, and those are also the folks that are trapped inside the building, and how quick it is that like they immediately condemn this entire apartment building to death because they have no intention of going in there and saving them. And they send their own people in there to die. Like, it just shows how little they care
the government
for these people. So it's like, these people who were supposed to protect us, right? Like, we're supposed to just like immediately fall in line and obey what this police officer is saying, and she's immediately like, no, I'm not following you, fuck you, right? And then also just like the only people who are actually doing any help were like the firefighters, right? But also the community members trying to support each other. There's like the racism that comes through here. There's like the
lots of
one owner who talks about like the Chinese residents. But I do think it is like the fact how quickly this building is condemned, and every single person in that space was deemed less important than anyone on the other side. And that's any quarantine.
And that is something, that aspect of it is what makes it feel like a zombie movie more than a possession film. You know? Like that, I mean, like, you had this is clearly about God and demons and things, but you really, there's no exorcism that happens. No one even bothers to do any of that.
And they're just like, go ahead, die. Yeah,
like, it's not even like we trying to do that. Like, I don't even remember anybody praying. So like, it's not even, they don't even do that, even though that's what it is. And so it does feel like it operates in zombie logic, in that you do feel that feeling that like we are quarantined and they're not letting us out. Even if we can get out and we're uninfected, they are not going to let us out.
Yeah.
Like
they're a different villain.
Like they've decided whatever's happening in this building, we cannot let it happen to the rest of the city. And like they'll wait you out and come in and clean up in the morning.
Just waiting for you to die. And every single time they run to a window, and they're like yelled at to back up. Like that's also terrifying because like one, they're faceless. We never see a face on the outside. They're always covered up like SWAT or in their like quarantine gear. They put the bright light, so they're just shadows on the wall. They put the like screen down, so it's like you can't even like it's almost like we're existing in a different world. Other side. They take away, like they're not calling anyone by names. Like even with the officer that's inside, they say, oh, there's an officer in there, listen to him. They don't say what his name is. They don't like give anyone, like everyone inside is talking to each other and treating each other kind of like humans. They do like turn on each other fairly quickly, which, you know, in crisis situations can happen, like with those tensions. Like you have like, you know, the poor mom.
You have like, one loud, mean person. Yeah,
you have the man, the definitely queer man who is like just the enemy of everyone in that building. But then you have like the nursing student who's like just putting his life on the line to take care of people, and he's not even like fully qualified for that. But the people outside just do not care. And anytime they like, it almost felt to me like when they sent the person in, I think of like Chernobyl, but specifically like the show Chernobyl, when we covered 2 episodes because I think we were like this, we can't. It's like we do horror, and I get that.
I heard it was really good.
It's
that's
very
good.
It's really good, but it
really
was
rough,
it was too much for us. Like we tapped out. Like it genuinely, like I couldn't take it emotionally. There's some that I like will acknowledge. I'm like, that's it for me. There's some things I just won't see. Like I will never see when they see us. I will never watch it. You know, like there's just some things I know I emotionally don't need, and I'm good. But in the first 2 episodes that we did watch, like there is that idea of like when they send people in immediately after the crisis, and some of them know, some of them are aware that they're going in and they're not coming back. Other people don't. And so I think of like the one like quarantine worker who came in, and he ended up like having to cage himself out, and honestly very kind of him to do, knowing like what was going on, that he like, you know, locked himself away. But like he came in, and I don't know if he fully understood what, because he was even like,
he wasn't
I don't know,
come out.
like what the, like, I'm just here and all I know is you shouldn't get bit. He's like, that's all I know. And I thought it would be contained, you know?
I don't know if this is what I was trying to say, but it tends to have the religious undertones and thinking of like Catholicism, and then also the fact that they're not caring about these people on the inside, and that they're all kind of this like middle class, like different version. Like you have an immigrant family or what's perceived as one, and then like all these different people who would maybe be cast out by the Catholic Church, and potentially not be like, you're told to care about your neighbor, and then also we don't fund the things that help your neighbor, or like, you know, thinking of the hypocrisy of American religious practices where you're like, Jesus would do this, but then also ICE. So like, you know, you have like this like really big conflict of interest within the religious community, and then like maybe that translates in Spain. I don't know, I'm not sure, to be honest, but like maybe that is partially what they're commenting on.
I can see that.
I mean, I think it's interesting. I don't know. I've never been to Spain, so I'm just going to say, open with, I've never been to Spain. And I'm not a Spaniard, so I don't know. And I've seen a bunch of your movies, but that don't mean nothing.
Right.
So, but I do think it's interesting that like the way that you are in a zombie movie until you're not. All of a sudden you're like, oh, actually, evil is real. That was what it was. This is the devil. Evil is real. And it wins because it hides. And that's what we're left with. And then they were like, roll credits.
It's like, la da da.
They dragged that lady.
Everyone who was just watching is gone. Da, da, da.
Like, she's gonna get, like, you're left with this feeling that, like, she will probably get out because of who she is. So it has infiltrated the right person to, in fact, do what it wants to do. And that, I think, is interesting to to think of evil as in the same way that you have these other zombie things where the infection is rage or some form of rage as a virus, like the rage, the emotion, acknowledging that this is contagious, that it is infectious, and that it like warps your perception and makes you dangerous and can ruin a society, right? Like that's like the conceit of the other ones, that this one is like evil is real. Evil is infectious. Evil is like a virus. It is contagious. And it can ruin societies. It can ruin communities.
Right.
Which I think ultimately is like what we're really getting at with this, at least for the first two. The third one, I don't know about that one. That one's a whole other thing.
I was just going to say, I don't think I've seen the second one of Rec. And I like hearing you talk about it. It's so interesting because, you know, I think with the first one, they tease the religious aspects of it. And so it's really exciting to think like, they like ran with that because it made it so unique with Rec, right? It does separate it from other zombie lore and just media. So to like, I think it's really smart for them to grab that and go with it. And it makes me think of like, you know, one of the other found footage franchises that like I have a strong love-hate relationship with, Paranormal Activity. How it like took something, like it took the wrong things and ran with it. And I was like, what are you doing?
I didn't see any of them. Some of them I missed.
I've seen all of them.
It's very like hit or miss. Like, like I understand that like it's your favorite subgenre.
Right.
I can't say it's my favorite because sometimes when they miss it, I'm like, what? Who's even filming now? Like
we've seen some bad found footage.
Like they don't track where the camera is, so suddenly it's just like a real movie, and you're looking at it like it's a film, and I'm like, but you're supposed to. Who has the phone right now? Like everybody else died. Like what do we do?
That's like the devil. What is it? Devil's Path or whatever. What was it? One of my most hated films of all time, and it's like it is.
But when it's good. It changes everything. Like I am grown enough to remember Blair Witch and to have seen it in the movie theaters with a packed house of people and we had never seen anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like I feel like, I don't know if it was the first found footage, but it's the first one that I remember seeing.
Yeah. It's definitely
like, what is this? I don't even know what this is. Like, are you really going to just you're going to show all this on your phone? You're not going to do like a real movie? Like I remember sitting there thinking that like, oh, it's not even going to be like a real movie. And like it blew, we were screaming like, and for a while, everybody was like, oh my God, Blair Witch. And it was the scariest thing. That shot with her snotty nose and her eye, where she's just like, this is it.
Yeah.
You go out there.
The last shot of him in the corner. No.
Oh my God. To this day, I still think about that. And I'm like, that was so creepy.
When you were describing it, I was like, oh God, I remember.
Yeah. Like that. Her crying into camera, knowing, again, this other thing of like knowing you're going to die, but being like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to film it.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
So you know what happened to me.
Right.
My friend and I, we were scared walking home. Like, we're like looking around like, is the witch in the tree? Yeah. Like, and again, it's that whole thing of like the witch of like, I don't know, some like spooky old lady in the forest. Like it's so vague. Like who was she? Doesn't even matter. I don't even remember. Doesn't even care.
You don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. So like when those things are good, and I feel like Rec is also a very strong found footage film. And like it leverages the one camera, the weird angles, the night vision. Like you need to like you still have cinematography and use these like weird camera angles. I really love that. Like, it's also one of those that like things will happen off camera. You just hear screaming. Sometimes the thing falls over and there's nothing. And you just hear like, you see like a foot come in and go out and like, you just hear stuff and you're like, I don't even know what's happening. But like, cause the camera, the idea that like no one is holding it. So you're looking at whatever is left. Or just those are the best found footage movies.
Like the last scene, one of the last scenes of like of Rec when he has the camera and he looks in the attic and he's just like slowly going around. I generally was like, like through my fingers, like looking at me like, okay. Cause it's like that tension.
You know, like, something's coming pop out.
And then we turn and there it is. Something's there. And of course you jump. It's so brilliant. And it is, again, like we're stuck with this one camera. And of course that's what he's using as a light to figure it out.
I have a fun question.
Yes.
Why, you know, in all this found footage and like, but why do you think this is even a genre? Like, what do you think why do we even like it at all?
I just think we like to, why do we like it at all? I think we like it. Yeah. I think it just feels real. It feels authentic. And I think it's also like an idea of like getting to the bottom of something, right? I think we like to feel like we're involved and that
like it could happen to us. Yeah.
And I also think like when we get, like harken back again to Blair Witch, right? That idea that like this is secret footage that we found. And every person who went through those doors to sit in that theater was like making the conscious decision, like, I am participating in this. I am one of the people that is getting eyes on it. I am like, you know, giving it attention. I'm a witness, right? And so I think every time we have found footage, it's like we get to be that witness again. We get to be a voyeur in a more like realistic way than with other like horror film where we're just kind of sitting there and we can be passive. And I think there is more of a buy-in because you are believing it. And with those films that have like a mission behind it. So like I think of The Bay, which is like a climate change, like like found footage film. Like it's so brilliant. And it actually like will make you afraid of like The Bay and make you ask questions. It's so good. It's
I have not watched it for this reason because I've seen,
you'll never want to eat any kind of
my hair on the back of my neck is standing up. I saw another one that was kind of like it and it wasn't The Bay because it wasn't found footage. But there was some used in it, and it was called Thaw.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Thaw is also a climate horror, and it is about being infected and overrun by small things.
No.
Right.
And there is some found footage in it where you just see like it gets out, and like people are showing like this the parasite that's like that they're infected. It's terrible. It's I can't even finish it, but like I can't even finish. So when I saw The Bay, I was like, I can't because I could barely make it through.
Isopods are so creepy. So I say instead, just watch our episode about it. We have little clips on there, so you'll learn all about it. No, it's so good. Yeah. And I appreciate that question, Wi-Moto, because I think there's so many subgenres of horror. Yeah. And there's so many ways that we like have figured out and developed to tell a story. And I think like with found footage, it's so exciting because like the method of which we're telling the story and like the world around us is also a character. It's also a part of that story, which is just like, it elevates it in a different way than like, you know, I love like Scream, right? I love some of those things, but it's like, it's still, that's just someone telling me a story versus me being like, like I'm a part of this. Story, like by seeing this, I am helping that person who's dead.
And it's a subgenre of filmmaking. I guess is kind of where I'm going or what I'm realizing. We don't even need for it to be a horror film anymore. Now this is a style of storytelling. And a
like
kind of cinematography. Yeah, like now like I think it's interesting that it gets into mockumentary. It's like it's a mockumentary but without the humor.
Yeah. It's not like it's that's why it's found footage. Yeah, because it's not like a comedy. It's not critiquing documentaries. It's critiquing something else, or it's like it's just using that same like format that documentaries use to tell their story.
Right. Yeah. To tell which I just find that to be an interesting blurring of lines there because it's not. Because with the horror, if you're making a found footage horror movie, then the conceit is like, I've got proof that evil is real, demons are real, or ghosts are real, or that something that you think is not real is real. And that's what you're buying into. Like, do you believe aliens? Right? Like, because I have the secret thing. Yeah. And then, you know, if it's a mockumentary, it's either we're making fun of some documentary or we're making fun of this group of people and we're telling it this way because we can have these, like they can break the fourth wall, they can have confessionals, like they can do these things. And it's somewhere between a documentary and like a reality TV show, scripted reality TV. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting into this space, and they're funny. You know, they're going to be funny.
Yeah.
And then you've got these ones where, like, it is a thriller, and it is also found footage, but it's happening now. So it's a thriller that for some reason didn't bother to have like a camera on the outside. Like, it's all going to be told from, so you can feel like your daughter went missing today,
right,
with John Joe. And like, to your point, I wonder if found footage and its expansion into other genres is more about the strength of the influence of video games on film. That, like, what it is that we're getting first person. We get to be the player. It's a first person shooter. Like, that's actually what we're chasing. Yeah. Because now so much of the storytelling and all of like the advancements in it are happening in video game. Like, I'm like, they are doing the most. And I can see it now. I can see like video game language entering like film and like hybridizing and kind of doing this, where it's like, you really can't, like, there's some things that film does that video games can't, but like, you can see the influence visually. You're talking about the media literacy. Like, I'm like, because people are playing these games, so you're borrowing from that.
Yeah. And it's a comfortable, like, approach. Like, if people are familiar with it, then it's easier for them to suspend that disbelief and invest in it and, you know, make it true. I do want to say that we're at time. I love honestly yapping about all kinds of horror, and also just talking to you, Wi-Moto. That's why we love having you on here. That's always you know, a fun conversation. It's always just like, you know, when you find your people and you can just geek out and just have fun and just love something, or like just get excited about something. It really like elevates the experience, which is why I find like horror to be such a communal experience. Like, I think it's so much more beneficial when you watch something with friends or with people, and you get to feel those things not alone. It's so important. But for our listeners and viewers, where can they find you?
Yes, so I can be found on Blue Sky and Spill and Instagram at Dusky Projects, Dusky Projects. And there is where I'm, you know, posting about all the events, spooky events and things that I've got coming up. Check out my link tree. It has my shop on it, my Botanica, as well as you can join our newsletter. Don't worry, it's quarterly. It's low key. That just kind of rounds out, you know, the different things that we have, which are both in person, like live theatrical storytelling, films, and theater as well. And also, like, now I'm getting into writing workshops if you want to write or come through.
Definitely check out Dusky Projects. There's such a wealth of different just genre things, like from writing, from just like appreciation, from listening to stories, uplifting, you know, creatives in that space. And it's always exciting to have. So definitely check that out. Definitely, you know, follow Wi-Moto, and don't get married.
Don't eat your kids. Or your kids will eat you.
Because they are possessed by zombie disease.
By evil. Yeah, zombie
by
evil.
Yeah, no, I really feel like Rec right now in this moment is really just like, evil is real.
Right.
Yeah, run.
Everyone, evil is real. People are wicked. Protect yourself.
Yeah. Get out of the house.
Yeah, but like, believe it.
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah, immediately believe it. Okay, bye.
Believe it. Like Naruto.